Good afternoon. Namaste. This is Dr. Uma Ketavated, Faculty of Agricultural and Veterinary Sciences, JOT Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. As you know, I'll be taking the course on bioenergetics and metabolism this semester. In the previous session, we had stopped with the metabolic fate of the carbon chain of the amino acids. So we'll be continuing with the metabolic fate of amino acids in this session as well. So if we were to come into the amino acids, so there are four amino acids and their keto acids that can be described as the central hub of amino acid metabolism because they are of special significance and most of the important metabolic pathways take place via these amino acids. So they are glutamate and it's alpha keto acid is alpha ketoglutarate. Glutamine, again, it's alpha keto acid is alpha ketoglutarate. Alanine, its acid is pyruvate, and aspartate, and its acid is oxaloacetic acid. So, glutamine is the amino acid that is found most often in the blood plasma, and it transports nitrogen to all the cells of the body that need it for synthesis of purine, pyrimidine, nucleotide biosynthesis. It's an amino acid donor, and it gets deaminated in the kidneys to release ammonia. We'll be coming into that, the formation of ammonia in the proximal tubule that neutralizes the acids in the urine, and this alpha ketoglutarate which will be formed can be directly channeled into citric acid cycle, and that refills the citric acid cycle when oxaloacetate is being pulled out for gluconeogenesis. So alpha ketoglutarate also forms the source for oxaloacetate when the cell gets depleted of oxaloacetate when that is being used for various other purposes. Now, if we are to come to alanine and pyruvate, so alanine is the counterpart of pyruvate, as I said, and they are also channeled into citric acid cycle and decomposed into carbon dioxide and energy. So alanine also has got a very important metabolic significance, and when alanine is broken down in the muscle, it uh, travels through the bloodstream to the liver where gluconeogenesis occurs, and based on the pyruvate that has been obtained from the transamination. So there are these very important enzymes, the alanine aminotranslerases, the ALT or the ALAT, they that are very important in the alanine metabolism. We'll be going into the details of that in the coming sessions. Then the next group is the aspartate and the oxaloacetate group. So again, there is the enzyme for the aspartate aminotransferase as well. So that transfers the amino group from aspartate to alpha ketoglutarate, uh, like forming, that is a transamination reaction, forming oxaloacetate and glutamate. So that is also very important in terms of metabolism. So they are all metabolic markers of various diseases, especially the health of the liver can be measured by the amount of these enzymes. Now, if we were to come into the other amino acids, the serine family. So if we were to come into serine synthesis, so serine is formed from pyruvate, and then it's formed from phosphohydroxypyruvate, and then that forms phosphoserine. and exchanging carbon with glycine and folates. That is an important metabolic pathway for serine. And then cysteine metabolism, cysteine is another important amino acid, and there is a disease, a genetic disease called homocystinuria that happens when cystathionine beta synthase is defective, and then that can lead to muscle and skeletal abnormalities, intellectual disabilities, and all that. And of course, with the also there will be cysteine in the blood, and that's why it's cystinuria. So serine is also the precursor for cysteine synthesis, and then there is a selenocysteine that is considered to be the 21st amino acid. So that is synthesized from serine on tRNA, and that is also very important, and it is also incorporated into many proteins. So as you know, the aspartate family, asparagine, aspartame, like all these aspartate and asparagine and all, they are all important, and they also have very critical, crucial roles in urea cycle as well, in the removal of ammonia and in the urea cycle. So the kidney function also. So if we are coming into the aromatic family amino acids, then tyrosine, phenylalanine, and tryptophan. So they are all derived from phosphoryl pyruvate and erythrophosphate, and they involve something called shikimic acid and chorusmic acid, and they are the sources for a majority of hormones and neurotransmitters. So most of the aromatic amino acids actually form the precursors for the production of hormones and neurotransmitters. So if you are coming into tryptophan, you would have learned about the tryptophan operon as well. So then there are these various molecules that are made from tryptophan. So I'll show you these, because this is like very important in terms of neurotransmitters that are used. So melatonin. So melatonin is very important in terms of its sleep hormone, and that is very important for biological rhythms, maintenance of the biological rhythm in the body, and that is involved in the rhythm maintenance. It's one of the major signaling molecules that are that is released or regulated by the suprachiasmatic nucleus. So, and then there is niacin, then serotonin. Serotonin is the sleep hormone. So it's a neurotransmitter, and like it causes vasoconstriction, enhanced memory. It's also a happy hormone actually. Melatonin is the sleep hormone, and serotonin is the happy hormone. And then the auxins in plants are also produced from tryptophan. So they are the major classes of molecules that are produced by tryptophan. Now, if we were to come into phenylalanine, so phenylalanine, it was already told that phenylalanine requires the formation of is required for the formation of tyrosine. And then also there are these sweeteners like NutraSweet that contains phenylalanine, and also if it cannot be if there is the deficiency of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase, then it ends up with we end up with phenylketonuria. That is a genetic disease. So those are all the important metabolic aspects of phenylalanine. And now if we were to come into tyrosine, again, tyrosine is one of the most important amino acids present in our body. And that is so because it has got a varied neurotransmitter and signaling capabilities. So like it, or rather it is the precursor for various hormones and neurotransmitters, signaling molecules like dopamine. Dopamine is very important for, it's a extremely important neurotransmitter that is involved in brain signaling. And so tyrosine gives L-DOPA, which is the precursor for L-dopamine. And that is also the precursor for epinephrine, norepinephrine, the and also for epinephrine. So these are all the major components. Like for Parkinson's disease, actually, like dopamine is used as a used as the medicine, because Parkinson's disease is actually caused by a reduced ability of the body to produce the brain cells to produce dopamine. So then norepinephrine, that is the stress, one of the stress hormones, and it works with the noradrenergic neurotransmitters. And then the epinephrine, again, that is the that increases the heart rate and blood pressure, and that also is a stress response hormone. So they are all like involved in the regulation of heart rate and all that. So if the amount of adrenaline signaling goes off, then that has got very severe implications for health, because that is involved in our survival instincts. So all these like then dopamine is also a vasodilator, and so it's involved in blood pressure also, and also involved in attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's in both children and adults. Dopamine has been linked with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. So all these are all the major metabolic pathways which are then definitely tyrosine is the precursor molecule for the thyroid hormones, the thyroglobulin, and all that. So that also makes tyrosine one of the major amino acids that is required by the body. And then tyrosine, when it's metabolized, what happens is it can form fumarate, acetoacetate, and hydroxyphenyl pyruvate and all that. They are the metabolic products of tyrosine. Now, if we were to come into the pyruvate family, so there is a alanine metabolism that gets produced by transamination from pyruvate, and then the leucine, valine, isoleucine They are all the branch chain amino acids. And since they are the branch chain amino acids, they are essential amino acids because our body does not have the capability to produce these branched chain amino acids. So, and wherever the number of steps is like more than 4 to 7, then it's very difficult for our body to be producing these. So those are all the, and then there is the histidine metabolism. Histidine is the most complex of all amino acids, and it overlaps nucleotide metabolism. So it's like, so definitely it's an essential amino acid. It's provided by the diet into our body. And those are the major amino acids and their metabolic fate. So the most important being tyrosine and tryptophan. They are both involved in the production of multiple enzymes and neurotransmitter molecules. And if I were to go into the few known disorders of the amino acid metabolism, then alkaptonuria, phenylketonuria, these we had already discussed in the session itself. So phenylalanine hydroxylase, if it's not coded for by the body, then that causes the genetic disease phenylketonuria. And alkaptonuria, if homogentisate dioxygenases, that is the enzyme that is absent for this one, then phenylketonuria is actually much fatal. But alkaptonuria is not as much fatal, but that can lead to multiple diseases like young age arthritis and all that. So those are the major metabolic fates of the amino acids. Now, if we were to talk about the fate of the amino group itself, then they have only this one, that either it undergoes transamination and gets transferred to form another amino acid, which can follow all the metabolic pathways that it and act as the precursor for proteins or neurotransmitters or whatever. And otherwise it will be deaminated, and that deaminated the amine group will be transferred by glutamine to kidneys, where it will become ammonia, and that is involved in the pH control of urine, or else it will become urea, and that will undergo the urea cycle that we will be looking into in detail. Or and finally there is the decarboxylation process, and we will be looking into all of these in detail in the coming sessions. So that will be it for this session. Thank you. Have a